Parole hearings are underway right now in California for the Menendez brothers. The parole board is hearing Erik's case right now. Lyle's case will go before them tomorrow. They are expected to make rulings right after each hearing ends, so we could be hearing imminently. Let's bring in our legal panel. We have Phil Holloway, former district attorney, and Dmitriy Shakhnevich. He's a criminal defense attorney. So it sounds, Phil, like in terms of the process, they'll wrap up these hearings tomorrow. We'll know the decisions of the parole boards, but then all of this, the fate of the brothers, really is in the hands of Governor Gavin Newsom, because he can decide whether he wants to abide by the recommendation or not.
Yeah, it's a little troubling to me, Jillian, that they're saying that they're going to have this sort of instant announcement. It's almost like the fix is in. It's almost like they know ahead of time what they're going to do. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they give it some due consideration. But at the end of the day, I hope they realize that the Menendez brothers engaged in a cold, a calculated, and a brutal double murder. I mean, and then they went and they denied their involvement, and they essentially went and partied for several days, and for a while afterwards, they were just living their best lives. All the while, they were misleading authorities. They were doing everything they could to throw the public and law enforcement off their trail. This is something that, deserves life in prison. They got life in prison. This is a verdict that needs to stand and a judgment that needs to stand. And we shouldn't have a law that comes into effect, decades later, that they then can turn around and try to take advantage of, because the facts and the circumstances of this case scream for life imprisonment and nothing less. The parole board needs to keep them right where they are.
Dmitry, let's talk about the sexual abuse that was kept out of the original trial. The defense says that had evidence of the Menendez brothers' father's decades-long abuse and the mother's support for it been allowed to enter at trial, they never would have been convicted in the first place.
So, look, it's important to distinguish between a parole hearing and a motion to vacate the conviction based upon new evidence, new findings, and new submissions. This is not a motion to vacate the conviction due to this new evidence. So it's a different path, legally speaking. And look, it may sound funny and counterintuitive to some, but how lucky are the Menendez brothers that their post-conviction plight at this moment happens to converge with this societal shift that's being undergone, this cultural difference that we as a people are applying to sexual abuse and rape and all these other horrible things. So it's important to recognize that there are men and women, young and old, warehoused in this country, in state prisons, in federal prisons, and they're never getting out. And they all have stories, and they all have backgrounds, and they all have difficulties. And the Menendez brothers happened to fall in at a time where their parole hearings are being viewed in light of this societal shift. And that's a big deal for them.
Phil, so to that point, what the defense is arguing about this particular hearing is that they should get bail because they have served a lot of time, they have shown remorse for their crimes, or at least accepted responsibility, and they have had good behavior while they have been in prison.
Yeah, I don't know how much they've actually truly and honestly and repented and shown real remorse and taken responsibility. But this is not as he said, a motion for a new trial. This is not a habeas kind of an appeal. If you think the trial judge got it wrong, there's a process for that. There's appeals, and then there's even, you can take it up on federal habeas appeal, even if you want to say that there was a mistake made at the trial court level. A parole hearing is not the place to correct some perceived error made by a trial judge. A parole hearing needs to be based on the circumstances of the offense. And what I keep going back to is that there were two people murdered with shotguns. They even went outside and reloaded. And then they went on a spree of just spending and living their best life after the fact. And everything in this case screams for a life sentence to be upheld and for them to never breathe free air again.
All right, well, as soon as we get the decision out of the first parole board hearing, we will bring it to you live. Gentlemen, thanks for taking time with us today. Great to talk to you.
Anytime.